Hey guys, welcome back. Lots happened since Saturday. It's been a big week. I've been trying to get some rest on the Sunday. Such an epic game on Saturday. It was really one of the best All Black Springbok tests I've been at, and I've been at quite a few in my life. The atmosphere was amazing. The crowd, everything was good. There were some talking points about it, obviously, a number of them, and we're going to handle some of them in this video and some in another video. But let's just get maybe onto it straight away. There was a lot made out of the Haka starting early or starting late, and the plane flyover coming over during the Haka. I know there's a lot of talk in New Zealand media at the moment about whether it was disrespecting the Haka and all this. I don't know. I think it's a bit of a storm in a teacup, guys. It's just, it's one of those things. I know our New Zealand friends and my New Zealand friends take it very seriously. I think it was just one of those things. There were so many moving parts. I was privy to some of the arrangements for Saturday, and there was a lot going on. And the guys who organised it, obviously, the big thing was the A380 flying over the stadium. And anybody who knows anything about aviation knows that you can't exactly tell a pilot just to hold off for a minute or two. There's a holding pattern, there's a schedule, and the schedule was supposed to be that the flight was supposed to come through 2 minutes before kickoff. Now, this is my opinion about what happened. And anybody who's seen my video knows I was in the stands amongst the fans trying to film the national anthems. And straight after the national anthems, the flyover came across. And I'll put the video quickly up so we can all know what we're talking about right now. So in essence, the All Blacks decided just before the game that they were going to do a prayer for the passing of the Maori King, which is understandable. It's a huge thing in New Zealand rugby. And they were asked to do that. They wore black armbands for him. And TJ Perenara did a prayer before the time. Now, my sense is that this is where things went wrong. This is where the whole thing went out of sync, because everything was running on schedule there. Now, whether they didn't take that into account in the preparations, of course, these sort of things are worked out weeks in advance with the pilots, with the DJs, everything's on the schedule. And I know that the plane was supposed to come over just after the anthems, 2 minutes before the kickoff, to make that sort of rousing thing and then recreate the 95 Boeing that went over Ellis Park right before the kickoff of the World Cup final. Now, obviously, it didn't quite happen that way. And my sense is that somehow the timing of the prayer for the Maori King sort of kicked out that schedule a bit. Now, whose fault it is, who knows? As I say, there's no ways you can tell a plane to just stand still for a minute. And obviously, they were on a schedule. Now, if on the field somehow it got miscommunicated or somehow it didn't communicate, the fireworks were obviously scheduled for the flight and the DJ was ready when the flight went over. So coming from that background, the Haka should have been completed by then. And it shouldn't have been an issue, but obviously things went a bit out of sync. And as you see here in this video here, this was my handheld video while I was standing in the stands. It was while the All Blacks Haka was on, we suddenly saw the plane, and obviously I'll try to capture the plane going over. I thought I'd have time for both, but obviously that disrupted the Haka. Now, there's been quite a bit of talk about it. This was what Damien McKenzie said afterwards, after the game, about it as well.
Then a lot has just been made about what happened during the Haka. A lot of people said it was very disrespectful. What did you think of it?
Yeah, look, it's the first time I've played here in Johannesburg. I was told it was pretty loud. I guess, yeah, it's, you know, you can understand the roars of the crowd. The music's a little bit, yeah, probably don't agree with as much. But yeah, it's
flying over.
The plane, yeah, and that's, I don't know when the plane was supposed to fly over, but yeah, I guess it's, you know, it's an opportunity for us to connect with everyone back home and our ancestors and everything, and I guess we knew the noise was going to be there, but it's out of my control.
Razor, the Haka, Damien McKenzie was pretty critical of the way it was received yesterday. I think there was music playing, of course, the plane flew over at the same time. What was your assessment or takeaway from that? Were you disappointed with how it was received?
I think you know it's a pretty iconic tradition, isn't it, in our game, and everyone sort of has their own way with receiving it, and probably that moment. Oh look, we'd prepared for that. It wasn't the first time, so you know. They try and take their advantage on it. We'll take away our advantage they believe that we've got in the Haka, and I think it just adds to the theatre of it all, really. Look, it's not going to change, so you just embrace it.
There's been a lot of talk about what happened and why it went wrong. I see SA Rugby have sent out a statement apologising. They've written to New Zealand Rugby and apologised over the interference. According to the statement sent out, the closing moments of the Haka were overlaid with music and fireworks, as well as a flyover by an A380 airliner, as pre-planned scheduling failed to be observed. Rian Orbals is quoted, says, "I apologised in person, have written to the NZRFU to formally express our regret and apologies for what occurred. It was never the intention to schedule any activities that would coincide with such an iconic moment in Test match rugby against the All Blacks. That it occurred was a result of timekeeping challenges and simple human error. In the confusion, the crowd's excited cheering was mistaken to have marked the conclusion of the Haka by an unsighted sound engineer who restarted the music program. It was a highly regrettable but no way deliberate." Orba also said that SA Rugby was distressed by the breach of protocol and apparent lack of respect it was have suggested. "We hold dear the values and traditions of the game," said Orba also. "The unfortunate events in no way represent any lack of respect that South African rugby holds for the significance and history of the Haka." Now, in my video, some comments below my video spoke about the booing. Now, I must just say, from my point of view, I was standing in the stands. Fans did sing "Ole, Ole, Ole," which they do quite often when the Haka is performed by the All Blacks. But I didn't hear any cheering. I went back and I listened in the video, and you probably heard it here as well, that did come through at times. My sense is that it was a small pocket of the fans. I don't think it's really great to boo the Haka. I would never boo the Haka. I see it as a part of New Zealand rugby, and a real great part of New Zealand rugby. One of my sort of personal bugbears is that teams have to stand 10 meters, 20 meters apart, and so that photographers can lie between the Haka. I don't quite enjoy that from the broadcaster point of view. I understand what happens, but I think the team should be able to walk towards the Haka. The two most iconic Hakas and way of facing the Hakas came, one in 95 when the Boks sort of walked towards the Haka over the halfway line, and the other one in the 2007 World Cup final when France did it as well. So you think of the V that England formed in the 2019 semi-final against the Haka. It is a part of New Zealand tradition. I enjoy it, I must admit. I think at times it is a bit overdone. I'm fine when the All Blacks do it, but when every other team starts doing it, that's just my point of view. But yeah, I do understand it is part of New Zealand culture. To me, this whole thing is a bit of a storm in a teacup. It was a simple human error. It was. To be honest, I think the fact that the prayer happened was the one thing that wasn't on the schedule. and that in some way disrupted the program. If it was, the timekeeper heard, as Rian says, heard the crowd cheering and thought he must start the music, then it is a human error. I don't think in any way it was disrespectful. I think to suggest that is maybe just a bit clutching pearls and stuff like that. There's deep respect in South Africa, and especially in the rugby circles I move in, for the Haka and for New Zealand rugby, and we see it as an integral part of the tapestry between the two sides. Nobody I spoke to on Saturday had any sort of thing. They just said, oh, it got messed up a bit, but nobody saw it as disrespect, and it's actually quite sorry it was taken that way in New Zealand. So that's that for you. I'm going to, before you jump on the comments and tell me I haven't addressed Bongi's try or non-try and a couple of other things, there's another video coming out. Keep an eye out for that. But let me know in your comments what you thought of it. Was it simple human error? Do you think it's anything else? Unfortunately, the flyovers get done quite often at Ellis Park. We've seen them before on this channel. There's one or two others that I've been to at the past at Ellis Park as well. But this was an A380. It's the first time I've seen such a big plane. It was bigger than the 747 that went over. He didn't quite go over the middle of the stadium. He went sort of almost over the main stand's roof, which sort of complicated things, and you can see that in the videos as well. And I think, unfortunately, that sort of took away from the whole spectacle. People ask in the comments, why Emirates? Well, it's Emirates Airline Park, so they're the stadium sponsor. That's probably why they wanted to do it. SA Rugby doesn't. They have Fly Safair as a airline sponsor, but they've got mainly smaller planes, so they obviously wanted a bigger plane, and that's probably why Emirates was there. I know a couple of people have been saying that they should have put a sign underneath that said "Go Bokke" like they did in '95. Yeah, probably should have, but I take it that's just who you're dealing with. The airline you're dealing with probably doesn't. We saw the pilots on the day before the plane went over. We saw them discussing the route, etc. So this was obviously something that was long time in the planning, and I think that half a minute or minute that was out is unfortunate, but as I say, storm in a teacup. Anyway, looking forward to Saturday. Let me know what you think in the comments, and if you haven't already, smash that subscribe button. Great chatting to you.